event. Now I'd like to call to the stage a gentleman that is not a stranger to Copperstone Education. He actually is on the governing board for Copperstone Education. It's a pleasure to have him here. This is not your first boot camp that you've been to. You're saying yes. Yes, this is his first, even though he sits on the board for Copperstone Education, this is his first Common Core boot camp. So I'm excited to have him here and to see him here. I'd like for you to clap your hands for Mr. Maher Al Kaabi as he comes to the stage.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning, everybody. And thank you for stressing that this is my first time. I was never invited before, so that's why it's my first time. I'm really thankful for being here and really thankful for the faculty of AUD, Dr. Kyle, for allowing us to provide a platform so we can share our experiences. But I think the special thanks goes to all of you to be here, particularly Nafi on Saturday, because you'd like to be with your families and loved one, but you made sure you're committed to come and share your experience over here, so really commendable to be here. So give yourself a round of applause. I'd like to cover three key things in what I want to say very briefly. And before I do that thing where Dr. Kyle was asking who's educators and the shapeshifters as well included, if you can raise your hands for me to know, because I could not really go behind and see. How many of you are in education field? Including the shapeshifters? Oh my God, mashallah, the entire platform is there, so only very few of us. So that's great, excellent. So my first note was to you, really, thank you for you guys, for you doing in the education system, because without you, it's going to be a very difficult role, to be honest with you. It's already very difficult, to be honest. But the profound sheer knowledge you bring to teach and nurture our children is just amazing. So I'd like to thank you for whatever you're doing. Remember, you're igniting the mindset of the young people. You're creating the future leaders and thinkers and innovators. So you make long things to happen very short in a very world which is really bipolar going on. And I mean, a platform like these makes it very easy for us to come and share information and collaborate. So it is amazing that all of us coming over here to share that thing. So that's what I would like to talk about as well. And of course, as you probably know about Copperstone Education, I sit on as a chairperson of the governing board over there. So we're also proud to provide actually a lot of educational material, particularly those who are trying to graduate and go to the US, especially very affordable courses for early colleges, credit recovery as well, and language programs. Of course, we have a boot camp outside. I invite you to look at it and also visit our website to see what materials we offer. What I would like to talk about is about the teachers. In my humble opinion, my philosophy simply, and I actually sit on the board of a couple of schools because as a passion, I'm actually a software engineer, so it has nothing to do with education, but it's completely linked to the education system as people think of. So teachers do the most sacred jobs. And everybody around them as well. Thank you. It's the most noblest job you can do, but I know everybody else involved in the teaching and education system also doing a fantastic job. And that reminds me of probably what you know of JF Kennedy. When he was at the NASA space station, he was about to get out and he met a janitor. And he asked him, what are you doing over here? He said, I'm preparing a man to go to the land of the moon. So every role is important in the education system. So whether you're dean of the college, or any faculty member, the people working in the education system, you are helping the students. And the teachers, when they get up early in the morning, they go to their schools and colleges and universities. What makes them do that? Their profound knowledge, because they're there to make a difference in students' life. Because in their mind, they want to create something out of these student lives as well. Remember, as the DNA shapes our body, education shapes and molds our hearts and mind and spirit. I always believe, we serve to create the next teachers, philosophers, mathematicians, engineers. You can clap, of course. And politicians. I'm not sure if the latter one is a breed of education system with whatever going on globally today. I cannot believe that. So education transcends mere the memorization, because educators need to make sure they're actually sparking a knowledge for us to relate to the next phase of life of our students. I always believe that education is either through that we better societies and construct societies, or we demolish civilization. So the torch is in your hand to make sure we teach our students very well. At Copperstone Education, which is my second point, we do exactly the same thing. We try to help you all with it. The last thing I want to talk about is the world new realities, which is the shifting gears. If you see the world today, it's really, there's so many trends are shaping the world. There's so many things that are coming up, and we see it all the time. But let's structure it, what's really happening. The first trend I see is the digital economy. Everybody is trying to digitize the world, and even UAE has launched a roadmap back in April 2022. How do we transform the digital economy in the country? We were the first country actually to appoint an AI minister back in 2017 when AI was not really there. We made it globally. Although AI actually predate to 1642, so it's not really new. And I tell you from experience because I'm doing my doctorate in AI and I've been working in AI building models for the last 30, 40 years. As a teen, I used to build games, by the way, out of hobby. Not that I like games. I don't have time for them. So, how do we use that? So when we talk about digital economy, we talk about anything to do with artificial intelligence, data, we'll come upon that as well. Data science, analytics, deep learning, machine learning, and a lot of people believe we're in the era of AI. We're not. We're living in weak AI. Why? Because we still need humans to run everything. And so we need to fathom that as well. However, we can use the tools available to help our students. I'm sure most of you are aware of Khan Academy. All right, very good, excellent. The person who runs it is called Salman Khan, not the actor, but the CEO of the company itself. Amazing gentleman. Now, 20 years ago, he started this academy online just to help his nieces and nephews, by the way. 2 years ago, he started an AI program, and his objective was, how do I understand from the data available, and we sit on lots of data, and if we don't segment this data, we don't clean the data, we will not be able to use it. So you will hear a lot of AI specialists, and sometimes people coin me with that, and I have a lot of discussion on AI. A lot of visiting professors from UCLA, New York University comes over here and debate with me on that. It's not the data which is the first starting block, which was very important, but it's the human who's creating data. So if we don't exist, as people think we will not exist as like the Skynet version of it, we will not have data. We will not be able to do anything with it. So human generates data. So when we have this data, we need to want to do something about it. So what Khan has done and many other people are trying to do is to find the gap in the learning of the students. And that's something we don't do today, to be honest with you. There are some people are working on it, some companies are trying to reduce that gap, but a lot of us are not doing a lot of good jobs on it. We need to really embrace that technology. And I give an example like this. If you're in grade 5 and you probably scored 70 in your math, and that math grade which you're taking was the base for grade 6, and if you go with that gap to grade 6, your gap only increases over a period of time, over a period of years. So someone needs to address that gap. But teachers are so busy in the classroom, regardless of the number of students out there, 15 to 35 and so forth, they're not going to be able to do that and reduce and address every gap because there's no time. We're pressurizing them constantly. So that's why we need to use technologies to help us to understand the gap and create a bespoke solutions for them so we can bridge that gap, so they can learn better. And then on the digital economy and whatnot, yes, there is people believe that this kind of situation will be there and the technology will take over. I don't believe in that. I sit on the other camp, I respect the first camp, but I sit on the camp that human race will always be in the center of any technology. That's why I've got a simple formula I've learned of, and I learned this family, I learned it when I was thinking, and with all my keynotes that came off the formula saying, and one of my friends also resonated that very well. It's about HI, which is human intelligence. You club the AI, artificial intelligence, it gives you something called PI. Anyone going to shout out what PI stands for? Just guess. I can't hear. I'm not hearing the PI what stands for, so you can shout out a little bit louder.
Power intelligence.
Okay, good try. Power intelligence, I heard. it leads to perfect intelligence. You combine human and AI, you get the perfect intelligence. The second thing, which is trending very well, it is the circular economy. And we're talking and hearing about how do we take care of our plants, the environments, which talk about the green economy, green society, renewable energies, biodiversity. How do we come back and make sure that the environment is taken care of? Now, if depending on your age, if you go back one generation, two generations, we were circular in our nature, i.e. whatever we used, we actually reuse it again back. We don't just throw it out. But with civilization, consumerism, and a lot of what we call money being abundance in certain nations, we started actually, resources were not really taken care of. In my home, when I was growing up, if the dress did not fit me, it goes to my younger brother, and so forth. That was a fact, and I think some of you probably practiced that where you come from. Yeah? And if it was not really suitable for you to wear the dress and go outside, it becomes pajamas. And if it's really worn off completely, then it becomes a cloth you use it for cleaning cars, cleaning everything else. UAE has been doing this, but somehow some of us lost the path. The founder of the country, Sheikh Zayed, was planting trees in the 60s and the 70s and 80s and 90s, and when people asked him, why are you planting trees in the desert, Your Highness? And it was actually written that he's planted about 150 million trees during his lifetime. 150 million trees. And when you go to Abu Dhabi, on the roadside, you'll see a lot of trees. Am I taking longer? I still have time? Thank you very much. Very nice. He said, I'm planting the trees because I need to take care of the environment. Because my religion, my faith tells me I need to take care of the environment. Our religion, every faith you come from, tells you the resources we have, whether it's food and water, you need to take care of them. So, education system also need to cope up with this thing. But before education system, as parents, we need to teach our children the same. Don't be shy. How many of you, the show of hands, actually teaching yourself or your loved one, your kids, about taking care of the environment? It's much more than any other forum I've been into energy saving. So really thank you very much for doing that. We need to inspire each other to do that thing. The other trend, which is very trending, is to do with health. How do we remain healthy? In a couple of schools I said as a chairman, we ban bringing any students are not allowed to bring any fizzy drinks. They're not allowed to bring anything unhealthy. They're only allowed to bring healthy food and vegetables and of course fruits. Even the condolences we have, we offer all sort of healthy snacks. I think we need to talk about that. And part of the health thing, which is also really permeating quite a lot, is the mental health. With what's going on globally in the world today, a lot of ourselves are already suffering from mental health challenges, and we need to develop that. I also sit on an advisory board of a company called Optimization Hub. The CEO actually flying from Australia because the company is based over here. I'm not sure she made it because her plane got late. I can see her raising hands, so she's probably on the way. And we actually help, we have 4 programs that we help them with. And one of the programs we help is on youth transitioning. Youth coming from the high school to colleges, from colleges to life. We provide programs to support them with those transition programs. The other trend which is going on is about entrepreneurship and investments. KPMG a few years ago came back and said, 10 and 15 years from now, 40% of graduates from university will become entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship is not a profession. It's entrepreneurship in myself, it's a mindset. Your mindset has to be entrepreneur regardless of what you're working on, whether you have a startup company or a company or you're working somewhere. It's about making a change happen. You get up and say, look, I would like to change something, this is not what is right to do. Although statistics show 67.5% of people will not move an inch. Human race. That's always a bell curve. So you've got the outliers on the both sides of the curve, and then everybody's in the majority. So we would like to help the people and students to go on the right side of the bell curve and help them with that. So now we know these trends, and of course there are many other trends, but these are the main one, and I talk about all of them in individual notes, and hoping by end of this month I will be talking in TED only about education and how education are relevant for tomorrow or not. I think we need to all to make some changes, because we need to make sure that education is relevant for the new realities we have. I always say, and with all due respect and with utmost respect to the education system, that one of these sectors which did not really cope up with the whole reality and made a strike change along with mining is the education system. Although we tried to make it, but for some reasons, we created an education system which are people working in the US as industrialists, i.e. those going to be working in factories for whatever reasons. So we need to change that. And I know there are a lot of people who are changing and making a difference over there. We create the world thinkers, people who can think, do critical thinking, and can change the world. You know, the last thing I want to talk about and think for us to think and wonder about, which is very important in all these trends, is the moral value. In a bipolar system that we live in today, unfortunately, it's astonishing me to believe in the 21st century, we are actually pleading to save humanity. That's why I don't understand the leaders and politicians who are actually eroding humanity with all the cultural advancement we have, with all the agreements and pacts and UN and so forth we have, we're still pleading to save humanity. So what do we do as educators? We need to instill in them the moral values. A world is eroding the moral values, unfortunately. We need to make sure we put a moral anchor into them. So when they're doing the business dealing tomorrow in the future with you and interact, they believe the moral anchor. So it's in your hand to create a good doctor, an honest doctor, an honest civil engineer, or the opposite, a rock doctor or a rock engineer. And the professions are limited. So ponder on these things when you go back home today. What are you doing to change the education system, and how you're going to put and instill the moral values? With that, I'd like to thank you again for inviting me over here and speak. My immense pleasure to be here, and thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that